Welcome to this special edition of Group Chat. I'm your host, Bentley, and we are honoring today Ozzy Osbourne, who passed away this past week. We'll share memories and stories and talk about the legacy that Ozzy leaves behind. Joining me are musician and all-around creative here at Buffalo Toronto Public Media, Matt Hitch, who wore the perfect shirt today for this episode. We will be talking about all of your shirt choices a little bit later. Rock star extraordinaire, Grammy nominated Joe Cannizzaro, who is also Buffalo Toronto Public Media's executive fundraising producer, and musician and Buffalo Toronto Public Media's audio programming coordinator and host on The Bridge, Marc Smith. So we'll be sharing memories, stories, and talking about the legacy Ozzy leaves behind. So I feel like when I first of all, my phone was blowing up when Ozzy passed away. And then I feel like all three of you were somehow in my circle at that time. I ended up talking to each one of you in some way. I know Matt and I were worried about Marc. Marc had gone home for lunch and was not responding to us. So we didn't know if we had to send somebody to check on you. What did Ozzy mean to you in your music life and in general?
Well, for me, like my dad had all the Sabbath records since before I was born, and the first few Ozzy records like shortly after I was born. So I think as soon as like I understood the concept of music, I was into Ozzy. Like I've not known a time in my life where Ozzy wasn't there. And he just like had such a huge impact on me. Like not me as a musician per se, but just my like choices in music. And as someone who's moved around a lot, I've lived all over. I just feel like Ozzy like has always felt like home when I'm listening to it. It always brings me back to my childhood and my dad and everything. It's just like comfort music to me.
Yeah. Which, you know, I guess if the average person thinks of metal or heavy music, they don't necessarily equate that with comfort music.
Yeah, well, and they haven't met.
Right? But Ozzy is definitely somebody who broke the mold.
Yeah, for sure.
And Marc, yes. So explain how you heard about Ozzy passing away.
So as you said, I was home on lunch and I wasn't paying attention to my phone. But when I finally did look at it after maybe like half hour, 45 minutes, there was like 20 missed messages. And usually there's like a level of importance in my mind. So I immediately went to my wife's text message first, which I'm glad I did because I don't remember exactly how she worded it, but it was, I'm not sure how you want to find out, but just so you know. And it was like a really gentle way. It was like kind of the way that like a mother would come and like let you know that like your grandparent has passed away or something like that. Which I was, I had Beavis and Butthead on in the background at the time, so I thought it was kind of like there was something about that. I don't know. I haven't watched it in a long time. Just decided to put it on, and I feel like I found out in the most gentle way I possibly could, but it was still quite upsetting for the whole night. I will be honest that tears were shed, you know, when I heard all the news.
I'm glad you didn't see my text first. I think I just said Ozzy died.
Yes. Yep.
I was also like, okay, I know we have to make a plan for the bridge, but I just couldn't just text Marc and say, hey, we have to figure something out. So I just said, did you hear about Ozzy? Like, I didn't know what to say either. And then I saw Matt in the hallway and he said, did you hear from Marc? So you broke the ice a little bit.
I had people reaching out on Instagram. So my Ozzy fandom is well known, apparently.
So Joe, for you as a musician, what did Ozzy mean to you and your music? You have a vast music listening.
I do.
Yeah.
Well, when I was young, I had an older brother who brought home all sorts of music, everything. And like I think the first time I heard Sabbath, there was a lot of like Zeppelin and Stones and like, you know, the sort of the clean sort of music. And then like he played that Sabbath album and it was this like dark, heavy, like, wow, there's a whole other world. It just opened up a whole other world of music. And I mean, for me and for a million bands.
Yeah.
I mean, they were groundbreaking in so many ways. You know? It's just amazing.
Well, and the influence, it was I feel like it was literally right before this happened. Joe was in my office and we were talking about an artist. He was talking to me about an artist, Youngblood, who is a fairly new artist. I mean, he had a moment and then he's kind of coming back, but he had performed at the last Black Sabbath show and is just like blowing up right now.
Yeah, that was an amazing performance too. I mean, I watched a whole bunch of that concert. You know, it was great, and all these different people came out and sang and did their thing. And then that kid came out, and just the way, I mean, he can sing, and he is so, I mean, from what I can tell, he's just genuine, and the respect he has for people like Ozzy and the, you know, the old school type of stuff was just amazing. All of a sudden, I don't know how it happened. I'm a Youngblood fan. All of a sudden, like out of nowhere.
That was the post yesterday that actually officially got like waterworks going, was Youngblood's post, because he had that video from the final show where him and Ozzy gifted each other necklaces, like handmade necklaces. And that was just like, you know, seeing how much they like loved each other. You know, it was like again, like a father-son relationship. It was awesome to see that. And then Youngblood posted yesterday just a very long paragraph just about like how, you know, how much Ozzy meant to him. And I think he ended it by saying, like, every note that I sing for the rest of my time as a musician is like dedicated to Ozzy. You know, it's like every ounce of any energy I put is going to be towards that.
Yeah. And, you know, Joe, you were mentioning Youngblood sounds very genuine. And I think that that's one of the draws to Ozzy, is he was always who he was and genuine. And I've heard like father figure mentions. And I think that was one of the things the Osbournes was a show that it was kind of my first dose of reality shows. And I was so hooked on that show because I think that it showed a side of somebody that you didn't see.
Yeah, for sure. And then also, I think it was like a groundbreaking show in reality television in general. Like after Osbournes, there was Gene Simmons did The Family Jewels, and Bret Michaels did Rock of Love, and everybody started doing a reality show after Ozzy did that. Yeah. So, there was a pretty groundbreaking show. Besides just the reality show, it like sparked a whole genre of TV shows.
Because you did see another side. I know Mark and I were joking around earlier that, you know, you would see Ozzy like fumbling with the coffee maker, you know,
hollering at the cat,
trying to figure out the remote. So he like became your father.
So just doing day-to-day activities as the Prince of Darkness.
I mean, just since his passing, I realized like how many funny things were said in that show, because I keep seeing memes of like that show. Like, it just cracked me up like rewatching it.
Well, I think too, after that final Sabbath show, something in my algorithm, all of a sudden I was getting all of these old clips from the Osbournes, and I forgot like how funny, how and real that it was. So Ozzy was born in 1948 in Birmingham, England, and he became the lead singer of Black Sabbath in 1968. I mean, his career, I don't even know how you go through everything he's done. He had a solo band with Randy Rhoads in 1980. I mean, he's gone double platinum. The Ozfest tour, do you remember? I mean, that started in 1996. He broke records in merch sales, hitting $50 million. The reality show came out in 2002. Like, he has had, since he started, he has had a continuous career. He was known as the Prince of Darkness and the Godfather of heavy metal. He sold over 100 million records worldwide, both solo and with Black Sabbath. And then obviously recently the final Black Sabbath show. And then just a couple weeks later, you know, he passes away. And he had said something, you know, he was always joking, but before that, like, he thought he might die on stage. And 2 weeks.
How legendary is it to sing at your own funeral, basically?
Right. We were, I didn't watch the whole thing. It was live streaming, but I was actually on vacation. I was like in the woods, and I kept picking my phone up to watch this Black Sabbath, and everybody around me is like, "What are you doing?" Like looking at your phone. We're hanging out in the hot tub and in the woods, and I was like, "Yeah, but this is the final Black Sabbath show. It's like I gotta watch this." And I'm glad I did. So.
Do you think he felt like, okay, that needed to be done, and then?
Honestly, it was like a tearjerker.
Mhm.
I think it was as important to him as it was to fans. Like,
Yeah.
I'm glad he got to do this, say a goodbye. And a lot of the bands that played with him were like um, inspired by him. So
Mhm.
I think it was just like a really important show, and I'm glad that it happened for everyone, for him and the fans.
Yeah. Um, yeah, speaking of, artists that played and that he influenced, I know we were talking about Youngblood. I know Billy Corgan from Smashing Pumpkins, was posting about his performance yesterday. And he posted a clip from Sharon that said, when he says, I love you, he does. Because, Ozzy was saying, I was saying, if you love somebody, like he really loved you. And Mark, you were talking about some of the things with, Smashing Pumpkins and some of the artists now.
Yeah, it was just so many of the artists that we were playing on the bridge. Just, I mean, I kind of already knew this, but then like going down memory lane after hearing the news and all that, like just kind of realizing how many artists are influenced by Sabbath, Ozzy solo, and all that. And whether it's not even the music, it could just be the way he went about being a musician. I know the big part about we were just saying he loved playing for the fans. It was important to play one last show. Big part about starting Ozzy solo in the 80s after he left Black Sabbath was him kind of sitting there and not necessarily being like a front man. Hey, I want to be back out on stage. I want to do this. He like just didn't feel right not being around his fans. Like that was one of his big things. He was saying he was starting to have some, troubles mentally and all that because he was just like he wanted to be around the fans. Like that was what he wanted to do, So yeah, I think seeing that he got to do this last show was really cool, and if anything, it made it a little easier to hear in the news, I guess. It's kind of like Bowie. He released Black Star 2 days later. We heard about Bowie dying after that, and it was kind of like, well, we got one more album. We got like one more,
Speaking of influences, Joe, your band, Green Jello, back in the day was very performance. There was a lot of performance art surrounding that, and I do think that Ozzy, could put him in that category of performance art. Yeah. Was there influence?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a funny story. When we played, we did our American tour. We opened for a band called Testament, and they're like hardcore heavy metal.
Yeah.
Band.
Thrash metal.
And we were like this goofy puppet band that would show up doing these goofy songs, and we called their fans, we called them cat killers because they were like, did you ever see the movie Gummo? Do you know that movie? It was all those kids out there, and we'd come out with our goofy puppets and stuff, and they didn't know what to make of us. So they were like, well, the music's kind of cool, but we're not really sure. So after like 2 or 3 shows on that tour, we introduced like this Sabbath medley as our third song. So the Cow God would come out, and then I would come out screaming White Zombie songs, and they'd be looking at us. That's interesting. And then we do that Sabbath jam, and we were the greatest rock band ever to them. It was so great. And after the show, people would come back and they go, wasn't sure what to make you guys with that cow and then that weird lady that came out. But that Sabbath jam, man, that did it for us. So I think Ozzy could very well have saved our lives from the Testament fans.
you
That's
got cred.
Yeah.
That's an interesting thing about Black Sabbath, I think, and Ozzy in general, is that there's like punks, there's metalheads, and all these genres of music, and a lot of them are pretty rigid. But Sabbath seems to be like one of those bands that all the punks like Black Flag named themselves after. They said Black Sabbath is one of their favorite bands.
I mean, even in my most punk rock days, Black Sabbath was still cool. You know what I mean? When it was like none of that stuff could be.
Yeah, they're like a
wasn't allowed
genre.
to be cool.
I mean, even though they are a metal band, they just seem to cross all genres. Like everybody seems to enjoy them.
Yeah.
Henry Rollins had a story where he said they opened for Ozzy solo.
Yeah.
And he went backstage, and this is like in the 90s, early 90s, late 80s. And he said he went backstage and Ozzy asked him, he goes, is anybody out there? Like, is it turnout good? And like Ozzy was still like a legend, but afraid that people were not showing up to shows.
Wow. Yeah.
And, in other ways too, I know, in being groundbreaking, Ozzy did speak out about things, in the 80s when, in metal and rock, he spoke out for LGBTQ plus causes and didn't really let that bullying happen in rock, because in that time it wasn't talked about, or people were, you know, bullied, and he spoke out against it, and then, you know, later in life contributed to charities, and he you know, even later in life, PETA was behind him, even after the bat incident. You know, I mean, which, you know, they would say like, oh, he treats animals so well, and, you know, he's adopted pets. And I mean, I thought he was on the literal blacklist for PETA for life because of the bat incident. And I did, you know, I had to double check all of this about the bat incident, is because there's always these things, is it real, or, you know, and, you know, apparently it was, but it was an accident. Thought it was fake. I feel like you know a lot about this story, Matt.
Yeah, that's. I mean, that's at least what Ozzy has claimed, is that somebody like threw it up there and he bit it and he thought it was fake, and it turned out to be a real bat. And Alice Cooper had a similar thing. Somebody threw a chicken up on stage, and he threw it back in the audience because it was a bird. He thought it could fly, and the audience tore it apart, I guess. But
threw it back at him.
Yeah. So I just thought, like, I've been going to concerts all my life, and I've never brought any animal with me. I was like, what do you mean somebody threw a bat or somebody threw a chicken? Like, how did you get in there? Like, I can't even bring a lighter in the concert.
That was the good old days, man. Bring chickens to shows.
Sneak stuff in. So and then, you know, obviously he found some fame through mainstream TV, but then I feel like he did always try to use his platforms for good. He was diagnosed with Parkinson's disease in 2019. So that was a lot of the mobility issues that he was having. But then that final concert was obviously very important to him. He got to see his daughter get engaged backstage, who got engaged. Kelly got engaged to a member of Slipknot. Carrying on that tradition. And then, you know, tributes. I know the band Ghost, who is influenced by him, did a tribute and mentioned, you know, for the Prince of Darkness, he brought a lot of light into people's lives. Mark, you have a little bit of a connection to that band Ghost, right? Your friend's a
my
tour
friend
manager.
Was their tour manager for Ghost for a while. And I actually, with all the news, I've been thinking about reaching back out to Jason, because I know when I met Jason for the first time, Sabbath and Ozzy was kind of like one of the first links that we had together, because I was quite a bit younger than with him. He was one of my sister's friends, so I was just like the kid that was trying to get to be friends with like the cool rock guy and all that. And all of the Black Sabbath fandom and all that was kind of what like linked us together after all those years. But yeah, I'd like to reach out to him and see what's going on. I know the guys in Ghost, from seeing them a few times, are all huge Sabbath fans. So many bands out there.
What's an Ozzy track, Ozzy, Black Sabbath, anything that he's done that you feel gets overlooked or doesn't get enough love? Or are there songs you have a love-hate relationship with? I know Mark's got one. I'm not going to put him on the spot with that one, though. But are there tracks that you think need more attention?
I mean, I don't know. Like, to me, I just know every single song. And I know, like, the radio hits obviously get the most attention. But I feel like a lot of hardcore Ozzy fans are like me. They just know every album front to back. And I don't know. I think Mr. Crowley is a song that wasn't on the radio and one of my favorite songs off his first album. I don't really have any hate. Like he said, love-hate relationships. I don't think there's any hate there at all, but just pure love. So.
Joe, what's on? I always enjoy your playlists, by the way, when I check in with you. They're very eclectic.
I don't really have any love. I mean, you know, there's songs that I love, of course, but the thing that amazes me, his history, is he just rolled with everything. All the different things that came along, you know, like the heavy metal, you know, the original stuff that he did, then the heavy metal stuff, then like even like the glam stuff. He just sort of rolled into that and then made his way out of it just fine. I mean, it's pretty amazing how he stayed like relevant through and like introducing all these unbelievable musicians to the world too, like showcasing, you know, Randy Rhoads, and then what's the
Jakey Lee, Zach Wild.
Zach, I mean, it's just I mean, amazing how he just continued and continued.
Yeah, he went through. That's a good point. Like he started in late '60s and went through all these music trends that were happening and still seemed relevant.
Yeah, I mean, think about how many bands just dropped off in any of those places. Yeah, and he just kept doing his thing.
Yeah, I mean, right there through the hair metal into like rap metal or whatever like happened, and
right,
like that period that we don't talk about.
Yeah, I mean, the Lita Ford period was a little.
Oh yeah,
that was a little weird, but I mean, it was a huge hit for him.
Oh yeah,
so, I mean, he just rolled right through it. He just,
it is
amazing.
It is impressive for somebody to have a career for this long, starting in the '80s and consistent. It wasn't like he went. I mean, obviously there were pauses, but a consistent career. Yeah. How about you, Mark?
That's such a hard question. I have to say the Diary of a Madman, Blizzard of Oz, both of those albums like changed my life. Not only musically, how I played music, but just like my aesthetic too. It's when I grew out my hair and like was wearing leather pants and all that stuff. So those two albums as a whole, if I had to pick specific songs, Sabbath song, National Acrobat, off of what I think is a overlooked album, Sabbath Bloody Sabbath.
It is.
That's my favorite. And Bentley had to tease it, so I will say that Mama, I'm Coming Home is not my hate song, but I've just over-listened to that. I listened to that way too many times, and now it's just got to be on the break table right now.
I had to play it especially because of the performance and the fun. And it will always be a tearjerker. So
that was the one that everybody was posting from the last show too.
Yeah.
So why are we talking about Ozzy now on a pop culture show and devoting a whole block to it? And why do you think paying tribute to artists like this is important? What makes him so special?
When I learned of his passing the other day, I went home and I was listening to Ozzy records and having a couple drinks with my girlfriend, and we were talking about, like, isn't it pretty cool that right now everybody around the world, like from like fans to people like Slayer and Judas Priest, like all these important people are probably doing exactly what we're doing right now, having a beer and listening to Ozzy or Sabbath. And I just thought that was pretty cool because it's not often that, obviously not everybody, but a large portion of the world around, like he's got fans like in every continent. And
normally when a musician dies there, it's linked to that genre.
Yeah.
And this time around, it seemed like no matter what genre you're part of, everybody was reaching out.
Yeah. And
Elton John, everybody was. Everybody, every social media outlet, every media outlet, every artist was posting about it.
And then also, I noticed, like on Facebook, I saw my dad and my uncle post something. I posted something, and then my younger sibling posted something. And I was just like, this is three generations, like three different generations of people that are like affected by this. Like there's a boomer, a Gen X, and Gen Z, I think, or whatever she is.
Listen, we still grapple with the dividing lines here all the time, so no worries on that.
Yeah.
Joe, how about for you? Because you're pretty embedded. I mean, I know that you are an avid TikTok user. You were always telling me you're keeping me up on the trends on TikTok. For real, like Joe's my TikTok connection. Why is it? Why talk about Ozzy in this way today?
Well, I mean, he's just a legend, and there's I think like Matt was saying, it's all generations. It's not just like us old guys love him, and then everybody before previous, they don't, everybody loves him. I mean, he was on every news channel yesterday. You know what I mean? Like everything. He was everywhere. And he was so influential to so many people. And that all trickles down. I mean, I think what's coming, unfortunately, is when we're doing a lot of these for a lot of these different older guys. Like, I mean, Keith Richards isn't going to be around forever. And he's up in that zone with all those guys.
Yeah.
And, they're all 76. And I mean, none of them, I mean, Ozzy was snorting ants, for crying out loud. You know what I mean? Like, they didn't take care of themselves. So that's got to catch up with you. So, I mean, I think we're going to be seeing a lot of these, unfortunately, but we're getting to that point. I mean, there's some big ones are going to be are going to be going soon.
Yeah.
You know, and it's just the influence for these guys. I mean, you know, I mean, they keep you alive. They keep you, you know, listening to that music. Just,
Yeah.
you know, it's just amazing.
Yeah. And as a music fan, Mark, I mean, you even think about, especially when I listen to early Black Sabbath, like the production that we have now didn't exist. And those were those were full takes.
Yeah.
Those were tracks that you heard. What you hear is how it was played.
Yeah.
And it's impressive. Like, why do things like that need to be preserved?
I think there's, not to say that there isn't the same emotion in newer music, but in older music, when you have just a long take like that and it sounds a little rough, it's not super polished. There's just something about it that it's got that sound. I mean, the first Black Sabbath album is 40 minutes, 5 tracks, you know, and that's like, to me, that's like a perfect album. But it's just, there's a sound to it. And I just remember the grittiness kind of, it's like, it sounded like a horror movie, you know, when you're listening to it the first time. And I remember just whatever it was, first time I listened to that first album, it just like, you know, it was the key that unlocked whatever emotion I needed to finally let out of my body or whatever. And then it just became kind of like a thing, you know, Black Sabbath and Ozzy. It's, you know, he's being remembered the way that he is because it's not often that, you know, you could be pinpointed as one of the 5 or 4 people that started an entire genre of music, you know?
I have to, before we wrap, talk about Matt's t-shirt. So Matt always has the best t-shirts. I think Matt and I first really bonded over his vintage Beavis and Butthead t-shirts. He always has the best t-shirts, and I knew you would bring the game today with your Ozzy Osbourne shirt. So can you talk about your shirt?
Actually, I want to. Yes, this is a Blizzard, or sorry, this is Diary of a Madman knockoff T-shirt. But this morning, as I was thinking about this show, I was talking to our colleague Jessica Tauber, and she was at House of Guitar when Ozzy was there, wearing this exact same shirt.
What? She was wearing
She
a shirt?
was wearing this shirt.
That was in what, 94? I think she said.
Oh, it's in the 80s.
Okay.
Was that when he was there with Motley Crue?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So there's a news camera there, and Jessica opens her jacket, and she's wearing this exact same shirt that I'm wearing.
She's like 13 at the time, I think.
Yeah. And I already had this on. It wasn't like I was like, oh, I'll go put on that shirt.
Yeah.
And then I was talking to her, and she's like, she said she was super nervous, but she's like, I'm going to ask Ozzy for a kiss. And if I don't, I'll regret this the rest of my life. And she did, and he obliged. So
what?
I know.
Oh my. Does she still have the t-shirt? We need to find out.
Oh.
I doubt it. I don't know. But yeah, Diary of a Madman t-shirt.
I love it. Well, and I had to pick on Mark because, so wait, Mark, you have, explain, okay, you have Black Sabbath sneakers on.
Yeah, I have Black Sabbath Chuck Taylors on. And I have 2 pairs. I have ones that have the artwork from the Black Sabbath album on it. And I also have a Paranoid pair. And I was really not sure which pair to wear this morning, but I went with the Black Sabbath.
You could have wore one of each.
I would have, but then I told my wife I was worried that if I got an uneven wear pattern, then I would have to wear the other set.
My
and
nerds. Nerds.
Wow.
Yeah, I don't fit into any of my Ozzy shirts anymore, so I had to go with the shoes instead.
Yeah, because didn't you say that you had a couple vintage shirts that when you were younger you cut them?
Yeah, because people would always give me like old leftover tour shirts or something, so they'd always be like the 4XL shirts and all that.
Yeah.
So I cut the sides off of them and sewed them back together so that I would fit into them when I was like 16. But I definitely don't fit into them. So
didn't save the sides, I guess.
No. Ooh, that'd be a good idea.
Joe and I just went with our custom black uniform. I had a black t-shirt on, but it was a little chilly in here, so I went.
Yeah. The usual.
It's appropriate for the Prince of Darkness.
Yeah.
Indeed.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, so you're going to continue listening to pay tribute, continuing listening to Ozzy and Black Sabbath in your morning. And I think it's important. I think in a lot of ways, talking about these legacies in relation to the music, but, in pop culture and the things we're talking about, This was a really big event. So thank you for coming together and sharing all of your
My pleasure.
Yeah, thanks.
deepest stories on
Great.
on Ozzy. Ozzy Osbourne may be gone, but his legacy lives on. From Black Sabbath to his solo career to the reality TV moments we'll never forget, Ozzy left a mark that's loud and lasting. If you want to continue this conversation, make sure you follow us on Instagram and Twitter at BTPMNPR, and also check us out on the video podcast on Buffalo Toronto Public Media's YouTube channel. Huge thanks to my guests Matt Hitch, Joe Cannizzaro, and Marc Smith for sharing stories and helping honor Ozzy Osbourne. I'm your host, Bentley, and thanks for listening.